What's cooking? Welcome back into another edition of ESPN Louisville Plus. Extra coverage, extra point, extra, I don't know, whatever it is, we'll come up with some name for it in the future. I'm Justin Sovro. Joining me today, my man, the man, Phil Baker. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Sofro. It's good to see you down there in the sex dungeon, as I like to call it, until you come up with an actual, title sponsorship for the name down there. It's looking good. You got the
maybe we can get Cirillas on board.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, look, I'll set a info us or contact us form out there. But you got the Brian Brom, you got like Clay Travis wearing a Luke Hancock shirt down there. You got the Big East programs. The set's looking good.
Oh, Gigi Buffon does look kind of like Clay Travis. He does. That's really funny.
Oh, that's really not Clay Travis.
That is the greatest goalkeeper in the history of world soccer. Whatever, the Italian national team, and that is Gigi Buffon, Gianluigi Buffon. But that is really funny because now I do see the resemblance. Welcome in, guys. We're going to talk about a few coverage, different things going on when it comes to Louisville basketball. Nothing's happening with Kentucky basketball. It's dead. It's done. There's nothing to talk about. I guess that's all that there is really to talk about. But then we also have things going on, obviously, with Kentucky football and Will Stein maybe wanting to change things in the future. But if you guys do me a favor, smash the freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all our latest videos. We're going to bring you more and more content, as the days come. And then you can see behind me, yes, it is. I can thank my wife. She was cleaning out, I guess she was just emptying my crap and just kind of threw it all over. It was kind of like here, clean this up. Here's a pile of crap. And in this pile of said crap is an old school 2006, 2007 Brian Brom jersey.
Nice.
Which I love. Brian Brom is still my favorite Louisville quarterback of all time. He will always be. That season was special to me.
You hear that, Lamar? You hear that?
Yeah, hear that, Teddy? See, here's a problem. Louisville fans now, they're gonna take that and run with it. It's gonna be an issue. He's an ist. He's a whatever. Anyway, but no, it's not that. It's just I love that season 06, 07. But yeah, I had that. Actually, I wanted. I'll tell you right now, I wanted the Michael Bush one, but they were all sold out. So as a kid, that's the only one I had to go home with. If you have a Michael Bush one that you would like to sell me, or you'd like to have end up here in the back of the studio, hit me up on Twitter at Justin Sovro. Anyway, but yeah.
I saw, and I think in the coming months, I think I can say this. I think we're covered. I kind of got some emails around. You and I have been going back and forth on all the memorabilia and everything we have back here at the ESPN Louisville Plus studios. I think we're going to have an announcement in the coming weeks about some of the memorabilia stuff and maybe, some partners with some of the things, just a little show and tell that Sofro and I have been trying to do for a while. So there's a teaser around that. But as said tease that we were talking about, I may have implied. I was looking around perusing, maybe saw a Hunter Cantwell jersey, but the line was a little long and your boy had to get down here and pick up lunch. So I did not get it. It was.
You mean the head coach of the Centurions from the Christian Academy of Louisville? That Hunter Cantwell?
It was either that or forgive me, and I'm God, this is way back. I feel like there's a bit in the middle of July that we could do of just naming random Louisville players that pop into our head. And I think the last one that popped in my head of that had number 14 was Andrell Smith, I want to say. Oh, wow. I know. Again, extremely random that I know that. But this is, I saw that jersey. I was like, oh, is that a Hunter Cantwell jersey or Andrell Smith? That's all I could think of. So, maybe next up, I'll be on the lookout for that with set partners. So.
And I can start even just down here in this basement. And I don't have a ton of things, but the Brian Brown one's fun. Thanks to, again, I have to shout out my man Samson. I got to lower this down here a little bit. One of the original pink seats from Papa John's Colonel Stadium. Also got the little the Orange Bowl badge. You can't really see it below the helmet, but it is. Was
it Papa John's or Old Cardinal?
Wait. No. That's Papa John's Colonel Stadium.
Oh, okay. So because I know a bunch of them are Tark stops now. So I was like, I didn't know.
No. This is legitimately Papa John's when they redid some of that seating and some of it was broken. So
shout out.
How it's in my possession now. I don't know. Like, don't alert the authorities. I don't know, but I have it.
Some of them were broken a little bit, and they said they do that. Yeah. So no, that's exciting. Yeah, but excited. Hopefully, Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just, Cardman 64 was probably yelling at Steve Cragthorpe, during that season and probably let the little crack there. But, that was another man's trash is Justin Sofro's treasure.
Quite literally. I will take your former Louisville football and basketball trash and I will value it. I will. Freedom Hall, when we left, I wanted to pull one of those out. They're like, buddy, they're still using this. We got a tractor pull next week. And I'm like, no, I'm taking this out. This is a Syracuse game. This is coming with me. But
one of my core memories, the Syracuse game, it was noon, and I'll never forget it because it was one of my best friends, like one of our first group of friends that was getting married's bachelor party, and the best man was like kind of dragging his feet on putting some stuff together. And it's like, oh, we may do golf, we may do that, and early March, it's a 50. It could be 20 degrees outside. You don't know. So I was like, I'm going to meet up with you guys after, and probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. But people were walking in with like a drill and they were taking like down the signs, like what you were saying from their section. I was like, dude, I don't think they're demolishing the place. Like you said, I think, the tractor pull is going to be here next week, but tons of things to get into. I know before we ever talk about nonsense, excited about that. So like Sofro said, be sure to like and subscribe on ESPN Louisville Plus. He's Justin Sofro. Be sure to give him a follow on Twitter. I'm Phil__Baker working on that double underscore. So kind of a newsy week though, Sofro. I mean, between the NBA draft combine. I mean, you run point on this on where you wanted to start in terms of the roster construct and management, who's staying in the draft, who could be coming back, some other names that are mentioned, and the Will Stein stuff's out there as well going on with Just the Tip or Just the Cat, whatever he's rebranded it to, that's out there as well. But I'll let you run point on which way you want to go.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely newsworthy when it comes to it. I know a lot of people say that maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to this, but keeping an eye on the situation as it develops with Flory Badonga and if he is going to end up staying in the NBA draft. There were some comments that he had that were made. I believe it was Noah Weber on Twitter who had gotten a little bit of a conversation with him. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for us right now here on just a little screen share, so that way we can see exactly what he had to say there. But let me go ahead and pull up Flory Badonga, his comments when asked about basically where he's at when it comes to either coming and actually playing for the University of Louisville that he celebrated and quote unquote, I guess he hasn't signed, so Strebel still hasn't eaten the cat food, or if he's going to stay in the NBA draft.
Then I assume you've thought about a whole lot. Have you made a decision on that front yet?
I mean, not really, because I feel like it's a day-to-day thing. And then, obviously I'm here. It's a great honor to be here. And then just want to hear from them. And then, I always say if I have a good seat, then, the NBA is my dream. So I'll probably stay in for sure.
Don't like that. Didn't love that. I mean, I get it. I understand. You know what I mean? Like, it is their dream. That's the goal. That's always the end game, is going to the NBA and being there as soon as you can get there. I don't love hearing that when, like, the majority of what this amazing class that Pat Kelsey has developed and brought in, and I'll let you give me your kind of opinion on it. It's kind of been with him as the cornerstone of it. He was, the jewel to start this thing off. And if you lose him, that doesn't make me lose a lot of confidence. Yes, you have you have the 5-star freshman center as well. So you have a few big men that you feel at least a little bit confident with, and maybe some interest in another guy. But as it stands right now, to me, I don't love sitting where we are, because if Pat Kelsey, yes, they have the funds to spend it, but I don't love having to go try to figure out, maybe not restarting this whole process, but really trying to move forward and be like, okay, we got to find the go-to shot, rim blocker, that kind of guy. We need a guy, because that was why that was so integral to starting and kicking off his recruiting cycle.
Well, no. I mean, I think you hit that nail on the head. And then this is the tough pill for a lot of Louisville fans to swallow, quite frankly, is that he alluded to it. It's his dream. Like, I mean, it's not, I know people don't want to hear that here locally, but their dream's not to play as the end game. I'm sure it's a goal, but it's not the dream to play at the University of Louisville. Yeah, it's great. It's fulfilling. He played at Kansas, but his dream's to be in the NBA. Now, that sound there, I'm kind of with you. It doesn't sound like, obviously he's waiting the feedback. Now, I think it kind of is contingent on the feedback that he is given and what that's going to look like and what they're going to say. I mean, he's a little bit undersized. I know a lot of people picked apart our colleague in Kansas City, Soren Petro, when he came on with Andy, talking about, being a little bit undersized, and the measurables came out from the draft combine. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what the makeup looks like and what the, GMs and what teams are telling him, because I think you see Pat Kelsey, everybody talks about the Ryan Conwell, Michael Brown photo that was up there yesterday. I'm sure there was probably some dialogue that was had with Badonga as well up there about like what you're hearing, what you're doing, because it's a Rubik's Cube in trying to map out the roster, because I think Louisville fans are going to view expectations for the season much differently, whether or not he's on the team, when he perceived being like one of the winners of, the portal is your crown jewel right there. So it doesn't sound like he's wanting to get positive feedback, and I know that's difficult for a lot of Louisville fans to kind of grasp, but I think if he doesn't get that, you can count on him being here, but it's really contingent on where he's supposed to go in the draft, what these teams are telling him.
I know like a lot of people, I can't remember if it was Andy or who, somebody yesterday, the day before, was breaking down, I guess, the tangibles, the measurables, and how he was grading out, and how he was like viewed, 90% for a lot of them when it came to, his, some of his size, when it comes to his length, his wingspan, his standing reach, things like that. But then when it came to his actual height, it was kind of like, but like, that's not something that's going to change. I don't know. Like, he's like, I think it was like 40% or something like that. However that they were ranking it. So I don't know. Like, is it something? He's very much, like I said, I know a lot of people have used this analogy. Like, he reminds me very much of like a Montrezl Harrell kind of player. A lot of people remember Montrezl Harrell a lot bigger than I remember him. I remember him being, I felt more like a power forward kind of guy, not a center. So that's kind of like, where is that his role in the NBA? Is it more of a power forward than it would be playing the center role? Like, is that, because then if it is, then I can feel pretty confident with his size. Also, who's going to take him? Where are they going to take him? And how much money are they going to offer him? If it's going to be more than $5 or $6 million that we're guessing, by all means, but I doubt it.
Well, a couple different things. Yeah, the Montrezl Harrell thing, obviously wanted to most notably come back and work on his 3-point shooting, but just focus on rebounding, and that got him drafted by the Houston Rockets, got him some 6 Man of the Year awards throughout his duration of his career. So not a terrible spot. It's more so fit where you're going to be in terms of that. So fascinating to see about that. I think it was like he had 8 and 10 in the combine pickup that was out there. So that's interesting to me. But I don't know if you saw this, to kind of bring a full circle, more so like the 30,000 foot view of just how people are evaluating the entirety of this whole new era of paying players. Like you alluded to the crown jewel, Pat Kelsey. Obviously, you want him going after these types of guys. However, I think it's been very public that they are the spenders of this cycle, the Louisville basketball team. I think we'll allude to that. Did you see the Trilly Donovan tweet that was out there, basically saying the fascinating read on the donor psyche? I think this is from Brian Ruff of he's a basketball review. He's got about 22,000 followers. But basically, he put this out there that a Wake Forest donor who was direct about wanting wins also pointed to the trust of the dividing line. Quote, "It's been a long time since we've had success basketball-wise like we did in the 2000s. And it many has made some wary. The thought is, why donate if I don't trust the coach or this program to just make the most of my dollar? Relationships are important, but trust is too." Now, that, I'm not trying to say like this is a Steve Forbes situation. Obviously, Pat Kelsey is not in that water. But being the big spenders, putting a lot of resources, you want to go after guys like that, in Badonga, like that's a no-brainer. And I want to give Pat Kelsey for landing him. But if these guys, start going, getting feedback, and it's like, not to say I don't want to play sports psychologist, but that Badunga's like excited to come to Louisville, but it was kind of like, I kind of want the NBA to tell me something that like I want to hear. It's like, how can, if they don't get him, I'm fascinated of what the discussion's like this time next year when, you saw it with like the Mark Pope being the big spinners and everything. And you want to be the New York Yankees. You want to be the Lakers and the Celtics, the Cowboys. You've talked about this in terms of being the big spenders. But it's curious. I'm curious of just constantly going back to these donor psyches of these, if it doesn't correlate to landing these big time prospects, and signing on the paper, as well as correlating to tournament wins. Because although Wake Forest is, a much different situation, you just got to the round of 32. You need to see a little bit more than that moving forward.
Do we know? If Kentucky has the same amount of funds that they had last year? Like, do we know? Like, because I know a lot of people say, "Well, people aren't taking his money." I'm like, do we know exactly how much money he has to work with? Like,
and that's a great question. I mean,
people back him up. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a great question. I mean, I think it's probably. I know he was kind of pressed a little bit during the Q&A, Mark Pope, that was asking about like the GM position and trying to do it. And it sounds like he's going to have like 3 different people that are kind of overseeing that through analytics, salary cap and everything. And it's like, I always go back to the joke. If you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none. If you got 3 administrative assistants that are supposed to be the GM role, you got none. But no, I don't know what that is, but I think that also goes into what we've talked about over and over again, is that I think the vagueness, not necessarily poo-pooing or shooing away the numbers that have been associated with it, are beneficial to both parties, because I don't think we know the number. I think the mystique and the mystery of that, people it almost becomes like urban legend, right? Like, it's just like they're spending a ton of money, but nobody knows what the money is.
Which is, again, why I think this is like such an imperative year. It's very interesting. I've been very positive for the moves that Louisville basketball has made. It's confusing. It's a little bit of whiplash as a fan. We're just a month or 2 ago, we're told how, basically it's like we're crying poor, we're crying poverty.
The white paper.
And then Louisville now, Kyle Tucker and guys like that are out there saying that Louisville basketball has $30 million that they're trying to spend, or they're going to spend on this roster, especially if they make an addition. Let's just go ahead and like pivot a little bit, because we're kind of on the same topic in this, but I'd be remiss if we don't bring up the elephant in the room, Milan Momcilovic. And I don't know if I said that right or wrong, but I tried.
Sounds good.
I did my best.
Until these introductory press conferences happen, and like PK gives them their nicknames and everything, and or if they go elsewhere,
Mommy.
Lean into the confidence. Yeah, lean into the confidence. You said it with your chest. I think people would agree with you.
Yeah. So this is almost like, feels like a fever dream to me as a Louisville fan. We came into this postseason talking about who are they going to get, how are they going to get, how are they going to afford it. We're just talking about how much money isn't out there. It's not sustainable. But then they're really putting all their eggs into one basket, and that seems to be the season. And as it stands right now, let me go ahead and I'll throw it to his sound as well. We can listen to him talking about his interest, where he wants to be, but of course also the interest in if he does come back to college basketball. A very interesting story when it comes to the 3 programs that are involved with that one. But yeah, let me go ahead and throw this the screen share back up, so that way we can go ahead and get that. I don't know why it's not. There we go. Sorry, I was trying to dance there.
I'm still focused on the draft. I haven't even talked to any colleges yet, so I'm sure if I have to go back, there's a spot open for me somewhere. But I'm just still going through this process. The deadline is the 27th of May, so I still got a couple weeks. I'm gonna obviously finish this week, and I got to work out for I got some teams lined up to work out for the next couple weeks. So,
what do you need to hear from the NBA to stay?
I just think very high interest. Obviously some promises, but I don't think teams promise that early, that deadline. So I think if there's obviously good guaranteed contracts, that'd be good. Obviously if it's the later second round, those are usually 2-way contracts. So then I'd probably go back, but we'll see.
How much does the new eligibility rule of 5 and 5 kind of play into your decision there? Just another extra potential year to cash in college?
That doesn't affect me at all, really. Yeah. I want to go to the NBA. That's the goal. So I'm trying to go this year. So I'm not really trying to spend another 2 years in college.
Last one for me, but what are you looking for if you return to college from a role perspective?
if I return to college, just kind of a fit that, I can play well in and hopefully help my chances to go to the NBA the year after that. And hopefully I'm on a good team that, we can go far in the tournament.
All right. It's hard to be confident or feel great listening to that because it's very,
right.
And I get every kid wants to go pro, but he is like, it's like the guys that are involved and they're going to be involved with this. You're not going to be a preference. You can't money whip him. He just really wants to be in the league at this point.
No, but I think Andy and Nick were having the Isaac Trotter guy on that maybe got the quote where he mentions Louisville, Kentucky, because I don't even know if that was I don't think it was in that video, but I think it was implied maybe off the record of that. But I'm of the belief I'm happy he's swimming in this waters. Look, as much as I loved Rick Pitino during his time here, and I want to be abundantly clear, he even had to kind of recalibrate the guys that he's going after in terms of, the 4-year guys and the tryhards versus trying to swim it in some of the McDonald's All-Americans water. Now, it was anything through Kentucky. No, that's fine. I know it's a little bit different now through the transfer portal, but he's perceived to be one of the winners if you land him of the transfer portal. So, again, like you said, sounds like he wants to go pro around that, but I think it's more optics, right? And this is what I talked about with Andy and Nick earlier in this week when I was on with them. It's like, even if they aren't in there, I think it's a flex, even if they don't land these guys, in a message to hey, it's like the Wire meme. It's like, we're back. In terms of we'll go after these guys and there's no stench in this black cloud. Now it's got to correlate to what we're talking about in tournament wins and all those things that come with it.
Yeah.
However, I think it's more so a message, and I like that there's a perceived, I think Kyle Tucker said, along with the ESPN Lexington, our friends on an ESPN Lexington, that there was a $30 million roster that could be on the Louisville team. Nobody knows that. Nobody can debunk that. Nobody can prove that. But it kind of lingers out there, and it gets people answering those calls. Now, I have greater questions like you, long term. Is this the guy, can he take this program to the promised land of what many wanted to do? And he leans into that. Like I always say, he leans into that in that Sports Illustrated docu. He's like, I get it. I got to do these things. But the fact that he's getting these type of individuals to at least answer the calls and listen to the pitch. I know it's about money, but you could be, South Harmon Institute of Technology with all the money in the world. And they're like, no, I'm not interested. You're Portland State Community College with all the money and you're not interested. These guys are answering the call. So there must be something to it through their connections and what they're seeing, whether it be at the energy level or just some of the connections around the sport.
Well, and just looking at this right here, and it is on that tweet where that video is. I pulled it because I thought maybe he'd mention it, but you're right, he didn't mention it in the video. But that is where Isaac Trotter tweeted out saying Kentucky, St. John's, and Louisville are in the mix here. And I don't know if you were listening to Andy at all earlier, but yes. I am absolutely in lockstep with how Andy's line of thinking is. If you're going to tell me that's a list, which is almost insane to really think, because you would have told me 10 years ago that this would be the situation. But when you tell me that Kentucky basketball is involved with the player, as long as they have Mark Pope at the helm right now, I'm not worried. I'm sorry. That ain't Kentucky basketball. That is not Kentucky basketball. You walk in the door, Kentucky of old, John Calipari walks in, Kenny Payne and people that with him go sit down, and they're holding court. They've got the attention of the players. People are going to try to show up for them. Mark Pope shows up. Okay, whatever. Who cares? Yeah. You know what?
You're one of the guys. You're one of the guys now. You're just kind of been joining. It's like, oh, you're in line. It's like, I equate it to this. I'm watching some of these shows, and there's all these auditions, where you're trying to get the lead role, and there's 8 guys in there that look like you, and then it's I know a musty reference Brad Pitt or Timothy Chalamet for the youngs that out there that walks in. It's oh crap, we're not getting this. We're just the guy that looks like the other 20 guys in here. That's Mark Pope right now. You know what I mean? It's the guys that have been on those NBC sitcoms and everything that hasn't been on these mega blockbusters. That's what he's enduring right now. And I'm with you. I said it last week when I think we did this, is when Strebel was getting excited about Jalen Lowe at Pittsburgh, and I know this is kind of a crutch, but I go back to it's Strebel, I would tell you, buddy. Like you're my guy. I would tell you. John Wall scared me. Brandon Knight scared me. Tyler Eulis, Shea, Jamal Murray, fill in the blank. Jalen Lowe doesn't scare me. And that's kind of my indicator of like where Kentucky basketball is. But I'm with you. But the fact that there's the holy trinity of Kentucky, St. John's, and Louisville going after the same guy is definitely has all the juiciness to it in terms of the local story for sure.
Yeah, no, it's just funny. But, it's again, this was kind of like my take before, but if for some reason Mosilovich does come back, he's going to come back to the college level and he's going to play. Hell, it's a great feeling as a Louisville fan to say that, Pat Kelsey is at least, he's earned his spot at the table when it comes to getting respect in the recruiting world. I don't know if it's just because of the money that they're floundering around and they're throwing out there, and that's why he's there. Because like to me, as a longtime basketball fan who watches it, and I know people are going to hate me. People are going to crush me. People are mad about everything. But like, I still don't respect him to that level as a head coach, the X's and O's on the court winning. And that's something that needs to be done. And this is going to be a big moment.
To his credit, he said as much in the docuseries though. So I mean, like that's the thing that I go back to. It's like I'm with you. I have a bunch of question marks about it too. Like is this the guy long term? But I think you see the sport is littered with other individuals that are kind of in the same ilk as him, and it's a tough pill to swallow at places like Louisville, Kentucky, and Indiana. You're probably going to see a similar experience at a place like UNC, even though he had success at the NBA level with Mike Malone. Quite of a dose of reality. I mean, even with John Shire, with all the wins that he's had there at Duke, it hasn't correlated to the national championships of the amount of talent that's been back there. So the conversation is being had around the sport at these premier jobs. I'm 100% in agreement with you.
Yeah. So it's just like I said, I'm excited for the pressure. I'm hoping he gets him. I'm hoping he has it, and then we're gonna have. I mean, to me, I don't know that you could have anything but an answer at that point. If he were to get Mosilovich, if he has Flory Badonga as well, and that roster looks like that, you have two of the top guys, two of the top three in the transfer portal. Are going to get, well, depending on where you look at rankings, but a lot of the rankings I've seen Louisville was into all three of them. The other guy is John Blackwell is the other guy in the top three that I've seen ranked there with Flory Badonga and Mosilovich. If you get those guys and you still can't get out of the second weekend, I think we might have an answer. I don't know what else to say. And I think Louisville, that the powers that be in Louisville basketball know that they're still gonna, we support him and hope that he can break through. I don't know. I'm not trying, like I'm trying not to put my foot in my mouth right now because I'm me. Everybody always says I go straight to, I had the take about Tyron Stokes where I completely flipped it and said that it was a whiff by Pat Kelsey. I think it was.
My thoughts about that. Thoughts about that.
I think it was. I'm not always, I promise people that are listening, I am not always just trying to put that onus, put that extra pressure on Pat Kelsey, but it is what it is. Like, I just think at that point, you're the head coach of Louisville. There's certain things that you could do to help yourself. And I get the other pieces that come with it, but you got to get it done. And that's kind of where I sit with it. Phil, last little bit, because I know we're running short on time. I want to talk a little bit about Will Stein, some of the changes there with Kentucky football, Kentucky basketball, or Kentucky football, Louisville football, and the proposed. I don't know, and this is something that really just kind of gets, I don't know. It's an overdone topic. Like, we've talked about this for a long, long time. For how many years? We talked about it before it happened, and we've talked about it since it's happened. Right. But Louisville joining the ACC, moving that game to the end of the season, wanting to make Louisville Kentucky football rivalry be one of those, the Egg Bowl, the Iron Bowl, the Bourbon Bowl. I don't, whatever it could have been. Unfortunately, Louisville Kentucky football don't have a history of being, and maybe Will Stein's going to change this. We will see. He's got a steep hill to climb with that schedule next season. But could Will Stein's idea to move the game back to the start of the season, good, bad, indifferent? I
was always pro the end of the season. but I was always had the one caveat of like how the machine gets behind it. And that's the age old debate now in a world filled with TV executives and programming and what makes sense of how much exposure you're going to get. Get in the Wayback Machine with me, I would say about 8 months ago, when, Josh Hurd was asked by, some hosts here at the station. It was either with Diener or Ennis, blank. And it was, we went to our TV partners to see which the game could get the most exposure for the Louisville, Kentucky game. With this, I thought it would be perceived in a different light, being at the end of the year, knowing that you got the game, Michigan and Ohio State at Fox. That's usually, it's noon on Fox. You got the Iron Bowl 3:30. It was on CBS. Now that's an ABC, ESPN property. Around that, you also have Florida and Florida State. You got Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia Tech is usually that Friday. Egg Bowl you talked about, and countless others out there. And you usually, just because of, lack of success, whether it may be 7 wins, 8 wins, both teams being good at the same time, you get sent to the ACC network or SEC network or ESPN Classic if you want to get in the Wayback Machine. Right. But I just always felt that it would be perceived a little bit better in those lights, but also understanding that in the fishbowl that we are here, it doesn't move the needle nationally like we want it to. So with that being said, looking at the opening, weekend and Labor Day, when you see some of the games that I think Alabama's playing, like East Carolina, I think there's like some other, Clemson and LSU, you got Ole Miss and Louisville out there. Would that get a bigger number on that? I think you could put anything on some of those. People are so starved for football and that'll be on there. But I think for the fodder, the on-air topic for us selfishly, the first game of the year now probably makes more sense but also understanding that, and I'm going to sound like, not to choose the indifferent side because that's terrible for sports talk media. I liked there being implications at the end of the year as well. That's the one thing, like we were talking, if, Mark Stoops wins this game or keeps it close, like he could have kept his job. A few years ago, Louisville could have been in the Orange Bowl. Yeah. If a few things go their way, it's tough for me. Like, I think just the hype leading into the season, and you can rewrite your season too if you lose that first game. So that's something that I've kind of recalibrated after being gung ho about the final weekend, Thanksgiving weekend.
Andy, there are 2 takes that I heard. There's Andy's and then there's Taylor Lynch's. Andy was very much along the lines of like, it gives you an opportunity at the end of the season, like Louisville had last year, to rewrite the way that season's looked at. 41-0 beat down in Kentucky. It kind of saves the Miller Moss, what people thought about him. I even said, like, I forgive him for all of his misgivings throughout the season because of what he did against Kentucky. And then he did all right going out there in the bowl game as well. And then Taylor Lynch comes in and says they better not change that game. And his line of thinking was, it only behooves Kentucky to move it to the beginning of the season, and then it's more Louisville side to keep it at the end of the season.
How so? I didn't hear this. I heard them tease it, but I didn't hear Taylor's logic why that. Because Rich Brooks always wanted it the third game of the season. Like Louisville's whole mantra is like, we'll play whenever. Like Louisville's always been, you want the middle of the season? Okay. You want the third game of the season? Okay. You want the first game? Okay. You want the final game? Okay. Like that's what was always conveyed to me. And Rich Brooks, Brooks was really the one that wanted it the third game.
Yeah. Let me say, actually, I think I might be able to play it for you. I have the sound here. Here it is.
The Governor's Cup returning to week 1.
I hope that it never happens. I understand why he would want it for his fan base and for his program to have that game be the first game of the season, because they need as much juice in the offseason as they can get. They need as much help as they can possibly get to get people excited about that program. For Louisville, if that's the first game of the regular season, then you can forget about ever having these types of matchups that Louisville, quite frankly, has become kind of accustomed to, playing these marquee non-conference matchups in week 1. Like we've seen, Louisville play Alabama in Orlando Orlando. We saw them play Auburn. Obviously, we've got this game coming up this season with the neutral site game against Ole Miss. If you're playing the team up the road the first week of the season, you're not going to get these types of games. And I'm sorry, I would rather play an Ole Miss or an Alabama or an Auburn before I would rather play the team up the road.
Huh. I mean, that's a good point. I didn't hear that live. I heard them tease it, and then I know they were going to break. That's not a terrible way to look at it. I mean, because I think I'm probably viewing it through the scope of 20, 25 years ago, like when, we're in middle school and high school and we're trying to figure out, the Tom Jurich way of like, we'll play anytime, anywhere, but also acknowledging like you're still fighting for, a seat at the table and on relevancy. Like, and I mean, I know people don't like hearing that, but that's something that you got to do. So playing, Ole Miss, where you're the game on that Sunday down in Nashville, that matters. Even in the beatdown against Alabama that Nick Kern said they didn't look terrible, down in Orlando against Saban and Bobby 2.0. I do like those type of games as well versus, Sister Mary of the Poor Community College. Like, I think it gets people excited, but it's also understanding I can read the terrain, then you can kind of see the writing on the wall with Georgia getting out of it. Who knows what's going to happen with the A&M series, that at the more you do this, you could see, not the Governor's Cup going away necessarily, but, the SEC adding an extra game. It's going to make it more difficult regardless. So kudos to Ole Miss for picking up the game, but it's also I see Taylor's point. Absolutely see Taylor's point, because I enjoy those types of big games as well.
I think in situations where Louisville football gets the short end of the stick, just because of the way the ACC is viewed, and could leave you out of certain situations, certain bowl games, certain the idea of playing for the playoff. And this also goes to another topic, which I'm not going to try to open up right now. We don't have all the time about, if they were to expand. I'm always kind of a believer. Not for college basketball. No, for college football. Yes. I want you to expand it. Cause I just think college football, it's so difficult to get into that thing. And I understand, yes, maybe the teams that are playing in it, if you have a 24 team college football playoff, are not everybody there is going to win the national championship. Right. But who's to say that it can't become NCAA tournament-ish, like where you have the upsets, where you have, Cinderella going on a college football run in that. That's my kind of idea. And also at Louisville, I've seen so many times where they just fall short, where I'm like, just give me a chance. Just give me a chance to play for something at the end of the year. We don't care about these bowl games. Give 24 teams the ability to dream and to be able to play. And what the NCAA tournament was, which is why we crushed Michael Brown, which is why we crushed people like that, of like people grew up dreaming to play in this, and you're just giving up an opportunity of what some people view as the opportunity of a lifetime.
Well, and to your point real quick, and I know we got to wrap up here soon, but one of the things that I go back to is just like, that's what was so unfortunate about like the James Madison and the Tulane beatdowns in that, because it gets weaponized as like, see, I told you. And it's like, okay, but like, by that logic, Indiana shouldn't have been, one of the kids of the country club either. You know what I mean? Like by that logic, because they've been a doormat of, not just the Big Ten, but college football. So it's just, and that's why I just get so, pissy about like the eye test and everything and the elitists that come with it. But, I think if the SEC wasn't so loud and vocal about it, it probably wouldn't be on our forefront. Like, I mean, see the Big Ten, I don't think they're as boisterous about it as, the SEC is. But I'm in agreement. It's like, I want it expanded too. I don't claim to know what the right number is. I think 16 to 24, I would be content either way. But it's like, what does that look? What does the makeup of that look like in terms of trying to give, each of those, the big boy conferences, what they want? Also, before we wrap up, I wanted to put this out there because you alluded to Michael Brown stuff. Did you see Fran Fraschilla's tweet about this, as everybody, the who's up at the NBA Combine? So Fran Fraschilla, he'll probably be on some of the draft coverage for ESPN, had an NBA assistant coach ask me after Michael Brown's massive workout yesterday why he isn't considered in the top 5. Perfect example of a guy who could go 9th or 10th and be the best player in the draft. Nobody really knows injuries slowed him at Louisville basketball. So there was a bunch of folks there with that. So, you kind of going back to, if had you play it in the tournament, what could have that done to your draft stock? But again, I go back to, there's a bunch of, mystery around him too, where it's like he can put the dunk against Arkansas, up there, and that's on his highlight. He can put the Kentucky highlight game. He can put the NC State highlight game out there, and that's his highlight reel package. Yeah. And that could, be something out there. Now, what I'm curious,
Andy, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you're good.
No, I meant to say Phil. I don't know why I said Andy. Phil is playing, because I'm used to Andy playing dangerous games. Phil's playing a dangerous game by opening the Michael Brown Jr. Topic at the end of the video. I'm not going to yell and scream, but what I will say is, hey, yeah, that's kind of what we said at the end of this, is people are going to look at you. There's two ways that people can look at Michael Brown Jr. It's A, you were lying the whole time and you were healthy and you were fine and you're not trustworthy. Or B, you're actually injured and now you're injury prone and now need to worry about how serious the injury is and if it's going to come back and if you're actually going to play more than just a handful of games for an NBA team. So, to me, it's a lose-lose situation with how he played it. Just play the damn game, go out there, call your shot. If you only want to play 5 minutes a game, play 5 minutes and just take a break. Go sit on the bench. That's fine. Go have a little timeout, a little powwow, drink a Gatorade or whatever they, I don't know what they give nowadays.
And there's a picture circulating, I think, too, with him talking to assistant coaches and GMs out there. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to, I say it's not going to, he's still going to go top 10. I think we're all in agreement of that. I'm fascinated, and this is probably, where we can dismount this. There's been circulation of to do the Jazz trade up for AJ DeBonsa, because it's like he's going to be the projected number 1 pick, the ripple effect after that, and the needs of some of those teams, because, AJ DeBonsa played at BYU, I believe went to high school at BYU, but he's from Boston. So, what does that look like in order to go for him? The Darren Peterson situation not really seemingly affecting his draft status, what that looks like. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know I'm going to go be curious to listen to some of the draft experts and what they're getting from the combine and what it means for, Malachi Morano, Jaden Quayton. If he gets some feedback or he wants to stay, could be interesting for sure. PK up in the mall food court too, by the way, for the good old combine as well. That's all I could think about. Are they in the food court? I was like, is that a, Max Oriental, a J Mall behind him? I have no idea.
All I'm saying is, at the end of that, I was doing a little bit of investigation when people talk about the lean theory. I'm just saying PK was leaning toward Michael. Michael was exerting dominance, while Conwell was leaning toward PK. That means he loves and respects that man. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, all right, guys. I think
body language expert Justin Sofro. So if that
was part of my investigation,
subscribe.
Yep, that was part of my investigative work. I know we had to learn about body language. Anyway, guys, do us, as Phil just said, do us a solid favor. Smash that freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. We'll have more and more content here coming out. We're going to try to talk some things out, hash it out, and see what we can bring here on ESPN Louisville. Plus, you can follow him at Phil_Baker and at and you can follow. Yeah. And you can follow me at Justin Sofro. All the station, ESPN 680 at ESPN 680 and 93.9 The Ville as well. Guys, we will see you all next time.